This is Robert Clinkybeard and David Anderson with the Commercial Landscapers Podcast. We're going to take 20 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing business content from accomplished leaders to bring you value, scale your business, and better yourself personally. We hope you really enjoy the show, and I encourage you to share with your network so they can subscribe and we can expand these messages globally. We are also super excited to be supported by two brilliant sponsors. If you're tired of measuring properties, Site Recon platform fully automates measurements so you can focus on sales. So think measurements, think Site Recon. The other sponsor is Company Cam, who make it dead simple to communicate, document, and problem solve with guys in the field, no matter where you are. Company Cam brings documentation, communication, and liability protection together in one simple, easy to use app for you and your entire team. Company Cam is the only app every landscaper needs. Check it out. This is Robert Clinkybeard with the Commercial Landscapers Podcast. I'm really excited to be joined today by Marc Elliott. Marc is the CEO and co-founder for GoMaterials. Marc has owned a landscape construction company for I think roughly 10 years. So Marc, tell me a little bit more about your background, please.
So I started landscaping when I was actually 12 years old. My father never provided me any money except for essentials, and I wanted to have some spending money, and he said, find a job. I hustled my way to get a job at a local landscape business that was owned by my friend's father, and kind of fell in love with it from then. And I remember him asking me, what do you want to do when you're older? And I said, I want to own a landscape business. So about 4 years after that, I opened a landscape business with my older brother, and he at the time he graduated high school, and he helped me run the business while I was studying at university. So I was working full time, got my degree, and then just continued with that coming out of school. And by the time I graduated, our company had about 25-30 employees. So it was a good sized business for a new grad to be owning. And then I worked there for 3 years full time prior to leaving school. And our company within those 3 years ended up growing from probably the 30 employees to about 60. And as we started to grow, we started getting into bigger jobs. And that's where I realized the headache of sourcing materials. Because when you're doing small jobs, you're just going to the local garden center and kind of picking up. But on big jobs, you need to be competitive, and you need to find the right materials at the right price and get them to the job in a timely fashion to execute. So once I started seeing that problem, you obviously want to create a solution for it. And I kind of wanted to get out of the landscape business just because of the scalability of it. I wanted to be in a business that can be scaled way more quickly and with a little more ease. So I met Mike and Shireen in university, and I approached them about wanting to start a business together. I just found them both very smart, very good people, and here we are today.
Well, that's great. That's one of the things I encourage as a coach is to find people that are as smart, if not smarter than you. So where was your landscape company based?
It's based in Montreal. So the business is still running today. We had brought in a partner as well when I graduated university. So we were 3 people running the business. I basically sold back my shares to the company and put those funds into GoMaterials. And they're still running today. And today they're probably around 150, 200 employees.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, all in landscape construction. We did have a maintenance division that they did sell off when I left the business. And they kept the landscape construction and really grew that out.
Cool. And then you, assuming, do you close down during the winter? Did you do snow clearance? How did you?
So we did, and they still do today, commercial and industrial snow removal. There's also residential, but it's kind of a different ballgame in terms of the timing when you need to get it done. So we really focus on commercial and industrial, bigger contracts, and a lot more value for the customer, because if your job's not being done properly, there's a cost to the company. If employees get injured walking to the parking lot, slipping on ice and stuff like that. So we really focus on commercial industrial, and that's what we do in the winter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, congrats to be at school or college and to grow the company that size. That's a tremendous experience. You must have gone through some real challenges with growing the company, not really having a great deal of experience. And how did you figure your way through that?
The best thing is you just have mentors and coaches. So when I was running the landscape business, I mean, our new partner who came in and brought a lot of value add there. Him and his family had experience building a really, really big business. They've probably built a $100 million business. And then when they got out of that, he was looking for something else to do. He added a lot of value. But before he came in, I had my father was a great mentor to myself, and then also one of my friends' fathers would also mentor me a lot. So I would meet with him probably 4 or 5 times a year, and we just grab coffee and discuss the challenges I was going through at the time. And in landscaping, really the biggest challenge to scale is your employees. And I think everyone goes through the same challenge. It's skilled labor. And they're hard to find. You got to pay them well, and you got to treat them right to keep them in coming back.
Now, you hit on two, important things there is, surrounding yourself with coaches or mentors. I mean, I find that myself with growing my landscape company. I felt as though I struggled with the financial part. So early on, we brought on a fractional CFO, but, you need to have those people around you to help you scale up your business. And then, I think with, employees, I hear that every single time I go and meet with a company, they're challenged with employees. A lot of them rely probably too heavily on the H-2B program. You hear about the challenges now where companies are suddenly now beginning to grow again after COVID.
Yeah.
People still not keen on leaving their home. And so, it's effectively an employees market. They're demanding whatever they want to do. So I could definitely relate to you there.
Yeah.
How do you see technology beginning to affect industries, especially the green industry? Because you must see it from a different perspective these days.
So in the green industry, if you want to go focus specifically on the growers, I think the technology and you started seeing a lot more growers really focused on inventory, tracking inventories properly. And I think that's a huge piece to the puzzle, because it's a communication tool that's going to free up their time. Now the way it works is like, you have their catalog, you call them and it's like, hey, do you have the stock? Let me go check out in the field. It's a huge waste of time for these nurseries. So to me, the technology that is kind of getting focused on and needs to be focused on the nursery side is the inventory management and keeping that up to date. So it's a communication tool for their customers, and the customers don't need to constantly hassle them, checking on stock and everything like that. I think on the contractor side, you see a big push for project management softwares to help keep them organized so that they can execute their jobs on time, ensure that the labor is ready, the materials are ready and on site on time. And I mean, from our front, what we're really trying to do on our side is just aggregate everything for these guys. So what we're trying to do is aggregate all that data, all that information from all the suppliers, where we know who has what and where the best nursery is to go to for the contractor, so we can get him his material on time. And where we're pushing really in the future is on that aggregation side, where we get so many requests in every single day for quotes. So we have a good eye on what the market is demanding or is going to demand in the next year for plant material. So we want to have an eye on that, as well as an eye on inventory, so we can start telling growers, well, hey, there's going to be a big push for this in the next year and there's not enough supply in the market. Maybe you should start growing this, and pushing recommendations to our growers so that they're ready. I really think on the green industry, it's the inventory side of things that's killing everything right now. It's breaking communication and it's causing delays everywhere.
No, I would agree with that. The communication side, I mean, it's certainly something I struggle with my company, is that, we would need a lot of, small materials all throughout the valley, but there was no coordinated approach to it. And it ended up with, we were already short of labor, but we're sending all these laborers driving around the valley to try and find this material. It's just a complete time suck. But you touched on one thing that I don't think, because of technology, there's so much data now becoming available. And you mentioned, the aggregation of data. a lot of people just don't have that. Companies don't have that capability yet. How are you, I suppose, educating them on how to use that data?
You're talking in terms of our contractors?
Yeah.
So basically it's us utilizing the data for them. I mean, we try and simplify things as much as possible for people. So we have the data and it's like, they would send us a quote. We know that it's could be going out in some point in time. We try and educate them to try and let us know as soon as possible so we can secure that material for them. But in terms of contractors, if they want to utilize the data themselves, I mean, it's really building up the database yourself, which we have a full-time team doing that. So I'm not sure that contractors would have resources for it. My recommendation would be to find a company that's as reputable and as on top of their game as us, or you have an in-house buyer that's really on top of his game to be able to help find those materials. And we like you said, we see that too. We see guys day of the job or day before, they need a bunch of material and they're sending guys out driving around looking for it, and they're calling us and asking us where they can find it so they can send their guys to go get it. But you're right, it's your labor should be on the job, not driving around. You can pay someone to drive around, but a skilled labor needs to be executing for the company.
How one of the challenges I always used to see is that almost like the landscape architects are almost on a different planet. They're maybe not in touch with what's going on out in the field. So here they are designing all these nice plans and look great on paper, but when it actually comes down the pipeline, it gets bid on, a lot of that material might not be there. It just, how do you close that gap? Is there any, have you experienced that?
I think there needs to be a communication piece where when a contractor is putting together his plans, and you can build this into, I would say, a lot of them use what's the design software they use? The really popular one. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here.
Yeah, I'm not even sure, to be honest.
I forget the software.
Like a variation of CAD, or?
Yeah, exactly. There's so a lot of them use the AutoCAD, and then they have their SketchUp, and there's design something. When they're putting in their plans and they're putting in the specs, it would be nice that these softwares say, hey, this probably won't be available or is really hard to find. So it sets his expectations, and architects have these crazy expectations. And, we see lists come into our software for quoting, and right away our sales guy gets a notification, and he's got to call up the contractor and say, hey, like, this probably won't be available. But the contractor too is worried when he's bidding the job to go and offer substitutions, because it could affect his opportunity on getting that job. So he kind of just bids it as is and pretends like everything's nice and dandy. And then when it comes down to executing and getting the job done, then you're asking the architect for substitutions, and that delays the job, because then the architect's like, well, no, I think it's out there, go find it. So now you got to spend another couple of days trying to find it rather than actually getting material on site. So I think if the communication is done way earlier in the process, and the expectations for the architects are set, they can kind of realize that, yeah, maybe I should go with something a little less large, or some material that actually grows in this region. Like we've had projects in Florida where they're trying to source material that grows in northern New York. And, these guys ask us to buy this material, and I tell them, look, you're going to get $10,000 of shipping, and it probably won't survive when you plant it. So I wouldn't warranty this job if I was you.
Right.
So I think the expectation communications needs to be set from the beginning, and that's going to help execute jobs at a faster rate. And now more than ever with these shortages that are coming in, I mean, architects obviously are communicating a lot with their contractors at the execution of the job, but they just need to be more aware right now, until that technology exists, that what's happening in the industry.
And how do you see it playing out? You've obviously got these huge shortages that you're seeing. Contractors have probably already put a lot of the pricing in when they bid the jobs. So, initially they were worried about, oh, I'm going to go in and beat up my suppliers and try and get the best pricing. But now they're faced with, I can't even find this stuff, or I'm having to ship it in from 2 states over. How are you seeing that play out?
What we try and have been trying to do in the last little while is either stuff that like on their job, not everything is going to be shorted out. So on the stuff that's not shorted, we'll try and, bring down the price on those, where the stuff that's going to cost him more, it kind of offsets the overall budget of the job. But it does happen where he kind of completely gets screwed on the job. So then it's just trying to communicate with the architect or inspectors that, hey, the price we set for you for this material, it's just no longer available. We either got to sub the material to get the price in, or like sometimes the contractors have to eat the bullet too, which really really sucks for them. Our whole goal for our contractors too is like, we understand they're highly stressed and they got to meet their budgets, so we push hard to do that for them. But there's been a couple times where it's been really really tough.
Right.
Yeah.
No, challenging. So your company now, you founded GoMaterials. You're now sourcing, landscape material, mainly sort of East Coast down into the Midwest. You just mentioned Texas before this.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been used to dealing with, I suppose, brokers in a more of a state basis, occasionally regional basis. But tell me a little bit more how your company is making a difference and what are some of the benefits for contractors that you deal with?
So I guess we are similar to a broker in the sense that they're sourcing material and putting a markup on it. The way we like to work, the number one, the biggest differentiator for us is that we've got a ton of technology on the back end to help us source it much more efficiently. And we're also going nationwide, and if nation across North America. So from a volume basis, we're doing a lot more volume. We can work off a lot smaller margins. So often, even if contractors have an in-house buyer, we're able to get the material cheaper, if not at the same price than what they're paying someone $80,000 a year to do. So that's where we kind of set ourselves apart, is that even with the vendors we work with, oftentimes we work on a transaction fee commission rate. So even if the contractor is going direct, he's generally getting the same price as we do. So that's where we differentiate ourselves, is on the technology side and being able to price ourselves competitively with those guys that are sourcing big jobs, and then being able to offer that service to them where they don't got to worry about it. They tell us what material they need when they need it on site. And I would say a good 95% of the time we're able to execute. And if we're not able to get there the day they are, like there's a good communication process in between, to make sure that they're well organized on their end.
That's great. So talk to me quickly about that software element. I mean, I've seen challenges or companies still write down their list of plants they need, maybe still using a fax, sending it through to the local nursery. I mean, I'm assuming you've streamlined that whole process.
So what we have now is we've built an OCR technology. So we didn't really want to change the process for the contractors. As you know, the industry is usually a bit late on adopting technology. And our whole goal is, these guys are crazy busy. They don't want to sit there and type something into a system and redo the work they've already done. Generally, they have a list from the architect, and it's already on the plans. Or if they want to write it out by hand, whatever it is, they can submit that list onto our website. We've built an OCR technology that reads the list. It matches up material with what's already in our database. We have a team that just quickly checks to make sure everything matches up so we can process lists, but without any errors. And then once that comes through, then the bidding starts. So we have a system that will match up certain vendors with those items. And then sometimes things don't match up because it's not available. So then we have a team that will come in, offer substitutions, and just review the list before it's getting sent out. So the estimation team does that. So we're trying to standardize and automate things with technology as much as possible to be able to take on as much volume as possible. But we don't want to change the process that the contractor is already doing, because at the end of the day, it's a simple process for him. He sends his list to his wholesale nursery and they'll send him back a quote. But generally our quote's going to be a lot more competitive than what he's getting from his wholesale nursery, because we're able to source it from many locations across the US at a much more efficient way.
That's great. What type of turnaround, if somebody submits a list, what would be an average?
So if they want a list and they want pricing back, it's generally 48 hours. At this point, we're getting in, I don't know, I'd say hundreds of lists a day.
Okay.
It's really, the flow's coming in. So generally it's 48 hours is what our promise is to get back pricing to them. And that's just for the teams checking the items, offering any substitutions. And then for order, we generally like to say 3 to 4 days. If you want an order, turn around 3 to 4 days. It all depends on the size of the order, but generally 3 to 4 days, we can turn around orders.
Cool. And then jumping back to what we touched on, we'll wrap up here shortly, but Texas, some of the challenges, I mean, that's obviously they've gone through some weather challenges, but what are you finding in that market right now?
Well, basically the frost killed a lot of things off, especially the smaller potted material. The cold hardy stuff is still okay. It got shocked a bit, but it basically caused a shortage, and the shortage is probably across almost the nation right now that has any similar material to Texas. So from what I heard, there's about 30 to 50 truckloads a week just coming from Florida into Texas, which that's a lot of
crazy
material.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we've shipped a bunch of loads ourselves, and you kind of shoot yourself in the foot because you're sending out loads to our customers in Texas to help them, but then when we come around and need to order something in Florida, the material's not there because we just shipped it out. But either way, it would have gone out because people need that material. But already, for example, Florida, there was a shortage of material. This dates back pre-COVID. So pre-COVID, the demand for material has been going up and up and up, and the supply has not been going up accordingly. A lot of farmers, they're generational businesses. So either their kids get into it or they kind of sell it off. And expanding land in a lot of regions is not even it's not even economically feasible because you're kind of better off selling that land to a developer that wants to put condos. So the capitalism and the economics doesn't really benefit a lot of these nurseries. So the supply is either dwindling and it's not really going up in a certain direction. Then we had COVID that hit, and a lot of these plug manufacturers, the guys that do the starter material, had to close down. They went on back order on a lot of their stuff. So guys that actually are in business and wanting to supply finished goods, the 1 gallons, the 3 gallons and all that stuff, can't get material. There's some materials in Florida, variegated ginger 3 years ago was no problem to find. Now, even to find 50, 60 pieces, you're calling 10 different guys.
Wow.
And we're speaking to our suppliers and they're telling us they're on back order just for plugs for the next year. So COVID just put a damper on that, on the potted stuff. And then now on top of it, we had the freeze in Texas that killed off who knows how many pots of material. And now these guys are pulling in material from all other states that was already in short supply in those states. So it's put a huge dent in the entire industry. So
there's obviously some long-term damage being done there, and it's going to affect the market. Where's the opportunity in that? Start up a nursery?
Yeah.
Convert your start not making money to start growing plants, or?
Yeah, so there's going to be price increases. I mean, it's simple economics. When demand goes up and there's not as much supply, people are going to put their prices up. So I think that might help the economics of running a nursery business, and then more people are going to want to get into it. At the end of the day, like the US, Canada, we're capitalistic society, and we want to go where the money is. So if there's going to be more money in the nursery business, people are going to get into it.
Yeah.
But I think that in my personal opinion, I really think that governments kind of should step in and start providing subsidies for these nurseries to push the supply even further up, because the demand's huge and it's only going up with the environmental factors that are at play too. Cities are planting so much material, commercial buildings, everyone's getting subsidies to plant material, but I don't see so many subsidies on the supply side of things. So it's just pushing up demand. And I think there really is an opportunity for governments to get in and get more nurseries either wanting to expand their properties or more people wanting to actually get into the business. So.
I like that. So tell our listeners how they can contact you, how they can find out about GoMaterials.
So best way to contact us is through our email. There's info@gomaterials.com. I do see a lot of those emails myself. I'm a pretty hands-on owner in the business. I would say it's a bit of my downside, but I love being involved in everything. So you can contact us, info@GoMaterials. You can give us a call. We have a number that's reachable by anybody. It's 514-247-4458. Or you can just sign up online. If ever you're interested in sending us a plant list, go on GoMaterials.com and sign up, and you can get started that way. It's as simple as attaching a plant list and getting pricing on that.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Marc, for your insights today. Good luck with your business, and I'm looking forward to start seeing it expanding nationally, even internationally. So really excited for you to fill this well-needed need within the company. So thanks for your time today, Marc.
Thank you very much. It was really good talking to you.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Here, bye.
Hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and we've got some great takeaways for your business and your personal life. This is Robert Clinkybeard along with David Anderson, and would love to get you and your friends to join us on our journey. Two quick things before you go, listeners. Check out our website, thecommerciallandscaper.com. You can subscribe, you can share with your friends, but more importantly, check out our sponsors. We have Site Recon, who are going to help to capture measurements on your property and create a really streamlined process. And we have Company Cam, who make it dead simple to communicate, document, and problem solve with guys in the field, no matter where you are. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.